Right, let's get on with the next one then. So we'll just move those bits out the way. Okay, so another donation, and this was from the fantastically brilliant, lovely all-round bloke that is Mike Little, otherwise known as Maltman Mike. He has a YouTube channel. I highly recommend you subscribe to his YouTube channel. He's a guy based in Cumbria, not too far, I think, from the Lakes Distillery. Really, really nice guy. Really knows his whiskey. His videos are fantastic. Apart from the one called Malted Moments, which involved yours truly, where I sort of waffled on for a little bit, but he's getting interviews with people in the industry. Obviously loves his whiskey, loves talking about it, and is just a generally all-round fantastic bloke, and he's absolutely lovely. So he sent me 3 samples, I'm going to say, in the post to the Dram A headquarters. Apparently I've got a headquarters, believe it or not. And 2 of the samples that he sent, because I wanted to do a donation from each person over the next hopefully few nights, and then start getting into Scotch in a big way, because I've kind of neglected that. And he sent me 2 samples from 2 brand new distilleries, so I want to do them because I've got a couple of other new ones as well, and I want to do those first. So this was the other one that he sent, and it's another single grain. So having done the Teeling, which was very nice, and the Hay Club, which I think I might have not been obvious as to how I felt about the Hay Club. So you might maybe want to kind of watch that and judge for yourself as to. I don't think I was clear enough as to how I felt about the Hay Club. So I'm going to go do another single grain as well. So this particular one is from the Girvan distillery. Now the Girvan distillery is here in South Ayrshire. And this was a distillery that was, I'm going to have to look at my notes because I can't remember the year, 1963. I was going to say that as well. So it was founded in 1963 by William Grant Sons as a base for their grain production for their blends. You know, Grant's is absolutely huge, and they needed that grain production in a big scale. We're talking about 15 million litres a year. I think that was the figure that was quoted. Now it actually used to be it was a disused, or was it unused munitions factory from World War II. So it's a big place. Now, if you put Girvan Distillery into Google, click images, this is the first picture that comes up. Not very attractive at all. And it's another one, a bit like the Cameron Bridge Distillery when I did the Hay Club review. It's a factory. This is a factory. This isn't romantic. This isn't traditional. This isn't, oh, look at the locks and the glens, and oh, there's a deer over there, and everybody's wearing kilts, and we've been doing this for 100 years. This is a factory that is just make grain whiskey. We need loads of grain whiskey to make all our blends. That's all they're doing. All right. So that's, you know, I'm not gonna kind of go, oh, this is got, you know, they're bounding among heather while they're making this whiskey. No, this is a bloody factory that is just making as much grain whiskey as they can to fill all the demand for all the big blends that they've got to sell bucket loads overseas and in the UK. So because of that, there's not that many single grain bottlings, or, you know, Girvan and Cameron Bridge and Invergordon's another one. There's not many kind of grains. They're quite hard to find. And traditionally, because of the type of grain that's used in it and the type of spirit that's produced as a result, it actually needs quite a long time to mature. It needs quite a while in cask. It needs longer than, say, a single malt to actually get to not a drinkable level, but to really kind of mature and mellow. Because early on it's really, really tight, really edgy, and really not rough, but kind of sharp and harsh and strong. This is a 7-year-old. So I'm really intrigued to find out what this is going to be like. Now this is from Douglas Laing, who I absolutely love. Douglas Laing are fantastic, and this is from a brand that they have called Clan Denny. Now this is what the bottle looks like for this particular one, and you're looking at about, I think it was about 35 quid on Master of Malt. That tends to be the first one that comes up, and I could give you an average of a load of prices, but I haven't got time, and you're probably not bothered. So 35 quid, call it. 52.9%, which I'm guessing is cask strength, but it seems a little bit low, particularly for a 7-year-old. But I'm going to go with cask strength. Douglas Laing, non-chill filtered, no colouring, none of that nonsense, no mucking about with it. Very, very light, as you could probably see over there. Very light, but I would expect that for such a young whisky. Now, Clan Denny also have Master of Malt. If you do Clan Denny Girvan, they've got a 20-year-old and a 35-year-old and things like that. So for a 7-year-old, really unusual. Those are like £100, but you know, for something this young, very intriguing. Clan Denny. When I was working at the whisky shop in York, we sold Clan Denny, and Clan Denny was a line by Douglas Laing at the time that were vatted. What? You're not having any of this. You're loopy enough as it is, although it might help you sleep. Although I wouldn't want to pick out what comes out the other end. Clan Denny was a set of vatted malts, and at the time they were called vatted malts because nobody had an issue with that. So it was they did like an Isla and a Speyside, Ironside. They did a Speyside and a Highland as well. Now the bottle looked like this, really chunky. You'll notice that there's a big thick glass rim where the cork was, right? They weighed a frickin' ton. I swear to God, you could kill somebody with one of those. We used to joke, if one of them fell on your head, we couldn't put them too high up on the shelf, because if one of them fell on a child's head, it would brain them, it would kill them. It weighed an absolute ton. So when I image searched what this looks like, I was quite relieved to see that they kind of got rid of those bottles, because they were dangerous. They were really dangerous, and to be honest, they were a bit of a pain in the arse to pour as well, because you took the cork out and you had that big, thick, kind of flat circular rim. It used to kind of run off the side and kind of like spread out and pour in, and it was just a pain in the backside. So anyway, on to this. So I'm very intrigued to find out what this is going to be like, being single grain, so young as well. Although having said that, it's exactly 25ml. That's a handy bottle, Mike. Cheers for that. I think Hay Club's quite young as well. So, you know, with Hay Club being Hay Club, I'm assuming that's really quite young that was in that, although it was so weak. It might have been young and I've just watered the hell out of it. I'd be very intrigued to find out what it's like so young, and also potentially at cask strength. So I've got my injector thing. What are these called? Syringes. And some water, just in case. But I had that for the Paul John and didn't even use it because that didn't need it. So it'd be very intriguing to find out whether this does actually need any water in it. So again, really pale, real kind of like a white wine colour, very much so. Vicky, my wife, said it looked like a sample of wee, but she doesn't drink whiskey, and you know, she's busy making a baby, so that's fine. She's talking nonsense. But yes, it's a very, very pale kind of white winey colour, not quite oaky Chardonnay, but a bit darker than a Sauvignon Blanc. So kind of not Pinot Grigio is really light as well, probably like Viognier, something like that. That kind of colour. Whoa. Kapow, that's just smacked me right in the nose. Really, not metallic, but very, very sharp. That's cleared my nose out. That's my washing machine. It does that. It sings a little song when it's finished washing. Yeah, really kind of almost eye-watering. Very citrusy. Very, very... It's kind of difficult to get past the alcoholic content, and it's only 52.9. If it was like 60, closer to 60, I could understand, but this is really, really full on for something that's a high alcohol percentage, but not as high as I've been on some others. You know, we're not touching 60 here. This is closer to 50. But yeah, big whack of citrus on there. Very difficult to get past anything else. Yeah. Whoa. Bloody hell. Okay, right, let's give this a go. Now, oh, Jesus. Oh no, now stuff's starting to come through. Caught me by surprise. Oh, honey, very much honey. Honey's coming through there more than anything else. Honey and spun sugar. Honey and spun sugar. Really, really nice sweetness to it. Surprisingly so, actually. Not what I was expecting at all. And not the metalliciness that I was expecting, which I always associate with Glen whiskies. Not that rawness It's tight still, but there is a considerable honey and spun sugar, slightly caramelised, but not hugely so. It's not actually that bad. It's not that bad. It needs water though, big style. It really does need water, because it's just overpowering the flavours that are there. But what flavours are there is actually really nice. It's very sweet. There is a citrusy element as well. There's a bit of golden syrup. It's almost like pancake day. Now, I love on pancake day. Pancake, sprinkle sugar on from the sugar bowl, if you fancy like me and you have a sugar bowl, and then lemon juice, and then drizzle a bit of golden syrup on top of it. So you've got that kind of pancakiness, you've got that kind of dough character of a pancake that's been fried. So there's the sweetness from that. You've got the sugar, you've got the fresh lemon juice, and it is a fresh lemon juice as well. And then a bit of the golden syrup just drizzled over the top of that. So I'm going to put some water in as well. Don't want to put too much in. I think we'll probably need to go for about that. It seems like quite a lot, but it's so tight. It was so tight, and the alcohol content really was dominating pretty much everything, that I want to try and give it half a chance and not underwater it. Now we're talking. Yeah, really citrusy, really nice actually. Reminds me a little bit of the Penderyn bourbon cask. And what I don't know is what this was matured in. I probably read it and I've completely forgotten it. But I might be tempted to go with a bourbon cask. It might be refill bourbon, because it's got very similar characters to what that Penderyn bourbon cask had. That's opened up really nicely. Might need even a little bit more water, and I'll take one more sip and then I'll add a bit more water. That's very, very pleasant indeed. There's a lovely sweetness to it, which I really wasn't expecting. There is still a tight feel to it. There is still an edge to it, but there is this lovely underlying citrusy sweetness to it. That's actually really pleasant. It's just, I think the problem is it's too young. I'm adding more water in it and it's still fighting me. It's not letting go. It's still hard work. I'm still having to overcome this fiery heat that's in there as well, which is an alcoholic heat, and it's just not letting those other flavours out. I've put more water in it, and obviously there's less in there, so we really properly dilute it now. I could well be under a 40%, so technically, legally, both, isn't whiskey, but I'm going to have to give it a go. It's still fighting me. It's still trying to go, no, you're not drinking me, I'm not letting all the flavours out. But there's a lovely citrus feel to it. Lemon, lime, lemon in particular, with a little bit of lime. There is a nice sweetness to it. I think it's just too young. I really do. I'd love to see what it's like at maybe not 20 years, but maybe like a 15-year-old, that sort of thing. Very, very interesting. Totally not what I was expecting. I've got this thing in my head about grain whiskies are quite metallic and quite harsh and quite edgy, that I like drinking them. I'm not saying that in a bad way, but that had a real citrus sugar. It's sugar. It's not caramel. It's a sugariness. It's kind of like when you start making caramel and you add water to sugar in the pan, and it's before it goes to caramel, it's kind of that clear, viscous, kind of like a thick liquid. And if you taste that, obviously when it's cooled down a bit, rather than burning, searing the inside of your mouth, it's that sort of sugary, spun sugar type feel. Really, really good. Really interesting. Thanks for that, Mike. That was most unusual and eye-opening, literally, in terms of the nose, because that really made my eyes water. But very, very tasty indeed. And I would be very interested to try a much older version of that. So, Douglas Laing, if you're watching, unlikely, but you never know. And yes, I will see you at the next one. Cheers.